Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes Healing Holidays, How Malaysia's Penang Hopes to Hook Chinese Medical Tourists. Hong Kong Excellent Hub for International Insurers to Expand. At $14 each, prices no barrier for Aussie mangoes in the US. Hong Kong authorities risk fair being politicized. Antitrust watchdog starting to bare its fangs at the right time. Healing Holidays, How Malaysia's Penang Hopes to Hook Chinese Medical Tourists. South China Morning Post. Penang, Malaysia is targeting Chinese medical tourists to boost its medical tourism industry. Medical tourism is already a major source of revenue for Penang and the country as a whole, with Malaysia's medical tourism industry rebounding quickly after pandemic travel restrictions were lifted last year. The Penang Center of Medical Tourism, PMED, found that the state earned over MYR 583 million in the first 9 months of 2023, up from MYR 356 million in 2022. However, officials say that in order to grow beyond pre-pandemic levels, Malaysia needs to attract more medical tourists from countries other than Indonesia, who currently make up the majority of foreign patients. China is seen as a key market due to its large population, growing affluence, and the removal of the one-child policy. Chinese medical tourists are attracted to Malaysia for a range of services, including fertility treatments and regenerative medicine options. Penang has a growing reputation as a high-quality holiday destination, which is also appealing to Chinese tourists. The ease of access to Penang, with direct flights from Guangzhou and Xiamen, is another advantage. Hong Kong Excellent Hub for International Insurers to Expand. South China Morning Post. Prudential's CEO has pledged to continue using Hong Kong as a center for expansion in Asia and Africa after the company showed strong post-COVID recovery. Anil Wadhwani said, Hong Kong is an excellent hub for international insurance companies to base themselves and to be able to expand more widely across Asia where there are significant opportunities for us. In the first half of the year, new life insurance sales in Hong Kong rose 26% year-on-year to 103.1 billion Hong Kong dollars, $13.1 billion, marginally higher than the 99.9 billion Hong Kong dollars, $12.7 billion, in the same period of 2019 before the pandemic. At $14 each, prices no barrier for Aussie mangoes in the US. ABC. Australian mangoes from the Northern Territory are being sold for $14 each in Los Angeles. Mambaloo Mangoes, a mango supplier, sent its R2E2 mangoes to California, where they are retailing for $8.99 each. Despite the high price, customers are not deterred as they recognize the quality of the mangoes. Mambaloo is also selling 3 packs of mangoes to Sam Club's warehouses. The company's supply chain advisor believes that in the next 5 years, Australian mangoes will be sold in all areas of the US. The US also receives mangoes from Ecuador and Peru, but Australian mangoes are bigger and sweeter. Currently, the biggest overseas customers for Australian mangoes are Hong Kong, New Zealand, Singapore, and the United Arab Emirates. In 2021-22, Australia exported 197 tons of mangoes to the US out of a total of 4,747 tons exported. Hong Kong authorities risk fair being politicized. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong has seen a surge in demand for stalls at next year's Lunar New Year fairs, following the removal of COVID-19 restrictions on the event. Candidates have been competing in auctions for the right to set up stalls at the fairs, with prices ranging from 4 to 6 figures. However, the price of stalls is still lower compared to pre-pandemic auctions in 2019, indicating that confidence in the recovery is still fragile. The Democratic Party, the city's main opposition, successfully bid for a stall, but had their bid rejected by the authorities without explanation. The rejection has raised concerns about the lack of transparency in the selection process and the potential for politicization. Antitrust watchdog starting to bare its fangs at the right time. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong's Competition Commission is taking legal action against Midland Realty Holdings and two subsidiaries, alleging that the company conspired with rival Centelline Property Agency and subsidiary Rica Corp Properties to charge clients a minimum net commission rate of 2% for first-hand residential properties. Centelline has been granted leniency in exchange for cooperating with the investigation. The case is expected to send a strong message to other industries in Hong Kong, which are dominated by a few players. The 10 best ways to explore Thailand in 2024. Telegraph. Thailand has reopened to tourism, but visitor numbers have not met expectations. Despite new attractions, hotels, and flight routes, the number of tourists has declined. This presents an opportunity for travelers to enjoy a bargain holiday as tour operators offer discounted packages. Some of the best holidays to Thailand in 2023 include a trip to a fashionable national park, a classic experience visiting Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, and southern beaches, exploring Chonburi Province, combining beach and jungle in Khao Lak and Khao Sok National Park, walking tours from temples to tribes, a low-key experience in Koh Samui, a wellness retreat in Chiang Mai, a low-impact break using Thailand's train system, exploring Thailand's northwestern countryside, and an island getaway. On Koh Yao Noi and Koh Yao Yai. Hill and Miles guide Hong Kong to crushing win over Tanzania in T20 series. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's women's cricket team have secured their place in the final of the T20 series with a 10-wicket win against Tanzania. Mariko Hill hit an unbeaten half-century as she and opening partner Natasha Miles chased down the 107 needed for victory with over 5 overs to spare. Despite a strong start from Tanzania, who raced to 31 off just 11 balls, they collapsed to 42 for 5 and were unable to recover. Hong Kong's victory in the final is scheduled for Sunday. Sunak should be changing refugee policy, not changing the facts. SCMP opinion. The UK Supreme Court has ruled that the government's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda is unlawful. The plan involved flying asylum seekers from the UK to Rwanda, where their claims would be processed. The UK had paid Rwanda £140 million, $190 million, for the scheme. However, the Supreme Court found that there were substantial grounds to believe that the asylum seekers would face a real risk of persecution if sent to Rwanda. The ruling has caused shock and fury in Westminster, and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is now working on a new plan to address the court's concerns. U.S. China must engage more with developing APEC economies, Peru trade chief says. South China Morning Post. Talks between U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping at the APEC summit in San Francisco have helped to calm the dispute for global supremacy, according to a senior Peruvian official. Peru, the host country for the 2024 APEC summit, called on the U.S. and China to boost trade engagement with developing economies. Peru is focusing on expanding trade and diversifying investment while defending the importance of APEC, even amid growing geopolitical differences between its 21 members. The country is also working to sign new free trade agreements with Thailand, Indonesia, India, and Hong Kong. Brian Baggs' hat-trick as Hong Kong cruise past Germany in second test. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong defeated Germany 46-10 in their second test on Saturday. Hong Kong's head coach, Andrew Douglas, said he was very happy with the result and that the team had improved since their last match. The side are also using the matches to build depth in the squad and prepare for next year. Hong Kong's men and women stay on course for 7 spots at Paris Olympics. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's men's and women's rugby teams are still in the running for a spot at the Paris Olympics after a strong opening day at the Asian qualifiers in Japan. The men's team finished top of their pool, winning all 3 games and scoring 129 points without conceding any. The women's team finished second in their pool, securing wins against India and Guam but losing to China. Both teams will now compete in the semifinals for a chance to qualify for the Olympics. The winners of the qualifier earn a spot at the Olympics, while the teams finishing second and third will have another chance through an international repechage tournament. The decadent West has come face to face with the future and the end of its dominance. Telegraph. The world is becoming increasingly chaotic due to a decline in globalization and a return to protectionism, which is leading to a rise in conflicts and great power rivalries, according to an op-ed in the Times. The article argues that liberal democracy did not spread due to its intrinsic merits, but through military victories, and now that the appeal of the West is waning, countries are beginning to look elsewhere. This is evident in the reluctance of some countries to join sanctions against Russia and the UN votes that equate democratic Israel with terrorist Hamas. The decline in American power and the rise of China were highlighted during the recent meeting between Joe Biden and Xi Jinping. The U.S. wants to draw China into collaborative structures on climate change, artificial intelligence, and drugs, while China made it clear that it intends to annex Taiwan. The article concludes that globalization has a pacifying effect on the world, as countries prefer to remain on good terms with their customers, and the decline of globalization is leading to a return to protectionism and conflict. Maldives eyes China investment as Beijing looks to seize the opportunity. South China Morning Post. The Maldives expects to see increased investment from China in energy infrastructure and tourism facilities after hosting a Chinese special envoy this week. Renewable energy will be a key focus for investment, as the Maldives aims to become carbon neutral by 2030. China's expertise in renewable energy technologies can contribute to the development of solar and wind energy projects in the Maldives. China is also likely to invest in hotel resort development, water sports, ecotourism, and travel agencies. Additionally, China is expected to be the top source of tourist arrivals in the Maldives next year, with 284,000 Chinese tourists visiting in 2019. Spaver blames fellow prisoner Kovrig for Chinese detention, alleges he was used for intelligence gathering. The Globe and Mail. Michael Spaver, one of the two Canadians imprisoned by China for nearly 3 years, is seeking a multi-million-dollar settlement from the Canadian government. Spaver alleges that he was detained because he unwittingly provided intelligence on North Korea to Canada and its allied spy services. He claims that fellow prisoner Michael Kovrig was responsible for the deception that led to their incarceration. Spaver's allegations cast a new light on Kovrig's work in China. Kovrig had previously served as a diplomat with the Foreign Affairs Department's Global Security Reporting Program. Spaver, fluent in Korean, has met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and arranged visits to the country by former basketball star Dennis Rodman. He alleges that he was arrested because of information he shared with Kovrig, which was later passed on to the Canadian government and its Five Eyes spy service partners. The Canadian government denies the allegations and states that the arrests were arbitrary. Spaver was convicted of espionage and sentenced to 11 years in prison. Kovrig had not been sentenced before his release. The two men were arrested in December 2018 on allegations of espionage following Canada's detention of Huawei CFO Meng Wanzhou on a U.S. extradition warrant. Spaver's lawyer, John K. Phillips, is seeking a settlement and threatening to sue the Canadian government and Kovrig. He alleges that Chinese security services arrested the two men because Kovrig was careless in discussions with Canadian authorities about Spaver. The Canadian government denies this and denies that Kovrig engaged in espionage. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your trusted observer from the 6 Degrees world, and I'm here to bring you the latest news from around the globe. Today, we explored a wide range of topics, from Malaysia's efforts to attract Chinese medical tourists to Hong Kong's position as an international hub for insurers. We also looked at the high price of Australian mangoes in the US, the surge in demand for stalls at Hong Kong's Lunar New Year fairs, and the UK government's unlawful plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. We then traveled to Thailand to discover the best ways to explore the country in 2024, witnessed Hong Kong's cricket and rugby teams in action, and discussed the challenges faced by the U.S. retail sector. Finally, we explored the future of global dominance and the rise of China, as well as China's increasing investment in the Maldives. And lastly, we delved into the legal battle and allegations made by Michael Spavor, one of the Canadians imprisoned by China. Now, let's dive into some deeper analysis. Malaysia's focus on attracting Chinese medical tourists is a strategic move to boost its medical tourism industry. With China's large population and growing affluence, it presents a lucrative market. The same goes for Hong Kong, which sees the city as an excellent hub for international insurers to expand their operations in Asia. These developments reflect the increasing importance of the Chinese market and its potential for economic growth. On the other hand, the U.S. retail sector is facing challenges as concerns grow about the health of the U.S. consumer. Lower earnings and outlooks from major retailers like Target and Walmart have raised worries about a slowdown in consumer spending. This could have a significant impact on the recent rally in U.S. equities, as retail sales slip and consumers wait for promotions to shop. The upcoming holiday season will be a crucial time for retailers to attract customers and boost sales. In the realm of geopolitics, the decline of globalization and the rise of protectionism are causing a shift in power dynamics. The recent meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping highlighted the differences between the two countries and the challenges they face in finding common ground. While the U.S. wants to draw China into collaborative structures, China made it clear that it intends to assert its dominance and expand its influence. This shift in power dynamics has far-reaching implications for global stability and cooperation. Meanwhile, China's investment in the Maldives is a testament to its growing influence in the region. The Maldives, with its focus on renewable energy and tourism development, presents an attractive opportunity for Chinese investment. As China aims to seize the opportunity in the Maldives, it further solidifies its position as a major player in the global economy. And finally, the legal battle and allegations made by Michael Spavor shed light on the complex geopolitical situation between China and Canada. Spavor's claims that he was detained because of information he shared with his fellow prisoner Kovrig, who allegedly passed it on to Canadian authorities and their Five Eyes spy service partners, adds a new twist to their case. The Canadian government denies these allegations, but it highlights the delicate nature of intelligence gathering and the potential consequences for individuals caught in the middle. So, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the latest news from around the world. From medical tourism in Malaysia to the challenges faced by the U.S. retail sector, and from the future of global dominance to China's growing influence in the Maldives, these stories paint a vivid picture of the ever-changing global landscape. Remember, my dear viewers, the world is a complex place, full of surprises and challenges. Stay informed, stay curious, and always keep an eye on the 6 Degrees world. Now, I welcome you to join the discussion and share your thoughts. What do you think about Malaysia's efforts to attract Chinese medical tourists? How do you see the future of global dominance and the rise of China? And what are your views on the allegations made by Michael Spavor? I can't wait to hear your thoughts and engage in a lively conversation. So, over to you, my dear viewers. What's on your mind? Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.